taking the stones out. Chapter 2 with the confession and with the with the purification of negative deeds that we have already done. One question was about the 4 powers. In the questions I sent you, somebody can tell me these 4 powers for purifying negative mind?
Frustrations. Regret.
Yeah, Michal?
Regret. Deciding never to do this again, taking refuge and doing something about it.
Doing an action, exactly.
The power of support.
Yeah, that's taking refuge, and it's only one. There's 2. You have 2 objects in power of support. Taking refuge and what goes on the Mahayana path? Taking refuge and
Bodhisattva.
generating bodhicitta. Otherwise, it's the founder vehicle path when you take refuge. You say, I take refuge for full enlightenment, but why? Not for me, but because I want to help all sentient beings. So with these 4 factors, these are mental states again. First the regret, I shouldn't have done the action. Second, okay, what can I do now? So it's the power of support. It's like we trust the Buddha that they can help us purify these negative deeds if we do something, which is the action, or the antidote. So it can be reciting mantras, or it can be anything actually. Anything in your mind that thinks this is the antidote for doing the action. When you've been stealing, you practice generosity. Now, practicing generosity when you want to purify a negative karma of stealing is tricky. Why? Let's say, it's not just let's say, and this is not a lie, this is true, I stole money from my parents when I was younger. So then I learned about slow of cause and effect things. I thought, oi, it's no good. So then I started to think, okay, I use a direct antidote, I'm going to be very generous.
With your parents' money.
Huh?
With your parents' money?
No, that was already spent. That was already spent. What I wanted to do is, it was my money, but I was generous with money I had earned. Now, as a kid, I stole money, so I spent it. I didn't steal it to keep it. I stole it to spend it. Actually, I spent it like buying chocolate for my schoolmates. And they thought I was really great. It was rather fun. When fun fairs, I would invite them to go on these rides. But it was not right to do it. I'm not saying it's right. So anyway, what's the problem with the practicing generosity? All of a sudden I expected thank you from the people I was generous with. So this is like when you go and buy something in a shop, you got whatever you got your apples, and you go and you go and pay, and the person doesn't say thank you, and then you get angry. Why would she have to say thank you to you because you give the money? You have to give the money because you got apples. Yeah? You see what I mean? Yeah. So I think power of the power of the action when we do either prostrations or mantras or water bowls or whatever, I'm not expecting the Buddhas to say thank you. But I felt that I was starting to get really kind of proud about being so generous because it was big sums, much more than I'd taken from my parents. It was big sums that I was giving, and then I thought, oh no, this is not the right attitude. I mean, then again, you can still continue to do this by changing your attitude, by seeing the attitude is not right, but by thinking, I'm just doing this to pay my debt, so they don't need to say thank you, and they don't even need to see it. But it's very difficult, for me, I find it very difficult to give big sums without putting my name on it, just to put it in the donation book. I find it very difficult. I succeed sometimes, but not always. Difficult. Yeah. So you can still give, it's okay. If you want to be recognized giving big sums, you can come to me personally. You can if you have the same problem as I have, because it's okay, you know, because then you still practice generosity. Don't say, oh no, I'm not going to practice generosity if we do it because, you know, I can't do it purely. Do it impurely, it's okay. Then you get into the habit later on, we can do it purely. Something like that. Okay, so that the next, like in chapter 3, generating an altruistic mind, we continue with these 7 limbs. We continue with creating the grounds. The first one is like the compassion, taking the stones out of the field, and then we level the earth, or we start to water it. Actually, it's good to water also the earth before you. So the next limb is rejoicing. Yeah. Rejoicing in causes for enlightenment and for liberation and happiness, causes for generating bodhicitta. Just to rejoice that you have interest in bodhicitta and that you are creating it. And you rejoice in those who have already developed it. Okay? Okay? Okay. Then you do various requests, but requests to yourself, kind of. You know, this is so inspiring also when he says, may I become a boat, a bridge, medicine for those who need medicine, a road for those who need to travel, a lamp for those who need light, food for those who need food, and all this. So he's making these aspirations to give all kinds of things, you know, to alleviate, to benefit sentient beings, to alleviate suffering, to give wealth and resources to everybody. And then he makes a step to give to his enemies. So enemies would be somebody, we said, you know, like somebody attacks your body. So he already gives his body here, and this is very difficult to understand. So I was actually in 2 minds whether I should mention it this evening or not. But I don't really want to keep it from you because it's good to discuss it, because when you read it and then you go, what? You know? Chapter 3. First is very inspiring. Then first is really, really, it really opens up your heart. Where he says, thus by the virtue collected through all that I've done, verse 8, page 40. That's where it starts. Very inspiring. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world, until everyone is healed. Now, of course, if you read this and you put the pressure on you that you need to be able to do this now, then it's not going to work, because then you get very stressed. But just may I be. Wouldn't it be wonderful if I would have the perfect medicine for everybody, which is the teaching on law of cause and effect and on emptiness. May a rain of food and drink descend to clear away the pain of thirst and hunger, and during the eon of famine, may I myself change into food and drink. You know, may I be able to, that my body changes into whatever people need. May I become an inexhaustible treasure for those who are poor and destitute. May I turn into all things they could need, and may these be placed close beside them. Without any sense of loss, I shall give up my body and enjoyments, as well as all my virtues of the 3 times, for the sake of benefiting all. So here now he gives something away that this we keep. First it's just material things, but then it's like all the virtue from my Dharma practice, I give it away. And if you generate bodhicitta, you give it away anyway, because you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for others. So it shouldn't come so difficult, you know. I don't know, same as like if you have a friend who is sick and very poor, and you go, okay, I'll go work for you. You know, you can't work, so I'll go work for you. I give you the salary. If you decided that from the beginning, the work will be for him, then it's not difficult to give him the salary afterward, because you did it for him. By giving up all, sorrow is transcended, because there's no attachment. You know, we will lose everything anyway at one point, and my mind will realize the sorrowless state. It is best that I now give everything to all beings. In the same way, I shall give up things at death. At the time of death, we have to leave everything behind. So why not give it now? You know, And it's really good to see that fear that we have. You know, I plan like 20 years ahead. I might be dead tomorrow. Yeah. And I can see, when I first started to get my pension, wow, I felt so rich. You know? Because I never received like regularly like 1,200 Swiss francs every month without doing everything. We don't even have to go and collect it. It comes into your bank account. I couldn't believe it. Now it's still the same amount, but somehow it's not so much anymore. I can see. It kind of, you know, becomes, yeah, okay, but still it's, ooh, if I only have this, and then no dana, ooh, I'm not, you see, it's like distressing and all this. It's like, although now the pension, all of it goes into the bank account. I mean, I can really save it, because I can still live off the generosity of so many people who give me a bed and give me food and pay for my coffee, even though I have to pay one pound. So like this. So like this. Yeah. So that's what I mean. But this fear of like, you know, and then forgetting that I live in a country which looks after poor people. You know, you won't be able to go on holiday, but you will have an apartment and you will have a health insurance. Hey, what am I stressing about? But I do. And then I have to kind of calm myself down again and think, at the time of death, you're going to lose everything everywhere anyway, so stop. Having given this body up, now comes it. For the pleasure of all living beings, by killing, abusing, and beating it, may they always do as they please. That's a strong one, because I think body is worse than money. You know, if somebody steals all my possessions, okay, wouldn't be happy, I think. But if you train like this, then you say, wow, great, it works. Somebody took all my possessions. No negative karma created. A lot of negative karma purified from the past by itself. But this, can you see the difficulty of this? Don't think it's easy, you know. Even somebody steals your wallet, we're already going like, oh, or somebody overcharges you. You go to the shuk and they overcharge you, how do you feel? They're fantastic, I'm paying my debts from previous times. He was like, no, we feel like the friar, and how dare they, you know? Have you never ever cheated?
Because we only work when we have the chance.
Yeah, exactly. So for us it's okay, but if somebody cheats us, no, it's like, you know, we become so righteous. So, although they may play with my body and make it a source of jest and blame, because I've given it up to them, what is the use of holding it dear? Then, verse 15 is very important. Therefore I shall let them do anything to it that does not cause them any harm. Yeah, only if it's of benefit to them. So this is very important. You're not just doing it like this. And when anyone encounters me, may it never be meaningless for him or her. If in those who encounter me a faithful or an angry thought arises, may that eternally become the source for fulfilling all their wishes. May all who say bad things to me or cause me any harm, and those who mock and insult me, have the fortune to fully awaken. Nobody will be able to injure you. When you say, oh great, you know, why? I mean, why is this verse here? May all who say bad things to me or cause me any harm, and those who mock and insult me, have the fortune to fully awaken. Why? By doing that to me, they help me to attain enlightenment quicker, because I am already a Bodhisattva, I mean he is, and so I allow them to do that, because I train to allow them to do that to me. So they purify my negative karma, I become very quickly a Buddha, very strong connection with them, I can take them out of samsara very quickly. They will still have to work, okay? But because of that strong connection, and they help me attain enlightenment, then as one Buddha more, so it's great. Yeah. And then also, may I be a protector for those without one, a guide for all travelers on the way. May I be a bridge, a boat, a ship for all who wish to cross the water. May I be an island for those who seek one, and a lamp for those desiring light. May I be a bed for all who wish to rest, a slave for all who want a slave. Yeah, so there goes your arrogance. Oh, I'm so great, I'm helping others. No, you were trained to be a slave who has absolutely no demands on the master. A servant. What does your ego say? Huh?
Fine.
Hmm?
Fine.
Fine to be a servant to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, I like to serve
Okay.
people now. And speaking so.
Good. There you have
Not
the
a
perfect.
slave.
You have the perfect volunteer sitting there.
No,
Yeah.
but a slave has a bad connotation for me. But serve, I think, is.
Now, slave is better because a servant you get wages. Slave you don't get any wage.
So this my ego rises. I want, especially as a woman, I wouldn't be like to be a slave, but servant.
Well, you've given your body already here, you know. So. Now, you see, if you train like this, because it might happen. Why do these things happen?
Because we have an ego. in the
Huh?
grasp, because we have an ego.
No. Why do these things happen? That people get exploited, abused, raped?
Karma.
Because we have rapists. These rapists will become victims. That's what we forget when we see the victim. So it doesn't mean we shouldn't have compassion for the victim, but also having compassion for the rapist now. Knowing that. Then if it happens to us, so at least there is no hate against this person. Because you see, when such strong things happen, you create very, very strong links. And the anger towards that person is very, very strong. And we carry it with us, sometimes even unconsciously, into other lives. And it could be that the roles are reversed. Yeah, that I have more power. And then that's it, so I give it back. This is how it works. That's the danger about law of cause and effect. That becomes, you see, when it's the same when you are very angry at somebody, and I mean, we can look at it in this life, and you have this anger, you give it out to somebody else. Doesn't even have to be that person. It makes you do something. It pushes you to do something. Yeah. Also, slave, you know, then I think it's in verse 7, in chapter 7, where he says, you should regard your body as your slave. At the moment, we are slave to the body. I'm tired. Okay, let's go sleep. I'm hungry. Okay, let's go. I'm hungry. Okay, you know, it's like that body wants so much attention and needs so much time, so much energy, and prevents us from doing good things with the mind. Yeah. So then they said, instead of being a slave to your body, let the body be a slave to you. That you have a body to serve others. So the word slave, I mean, I can be a very good slave owner. If I have wisdom as a slave owner, I treat my slaves really well. They know their place. They are slaves, but I can give them good food. I can give them good accommodation. I can be very friendly and very kind to them. Now I can do this out of two reasons: either because I really want them to be well, or because I want them to work well. So again, it depends on our motivation. So if you are to your body now, yeah? I mean, it doesn't, you see, when we hear the word slave, we think abuse. No, a slave is somebody who does work. Somebody that you have power over to tell them, hey, you have to do this work. So if I have a slave and I treat the slave really well, and then the slave becomes really lazy, then I say, okay, you can go. Do you see what I mean? Yeah? So don't be so hung up on the word slave, because they don't mean the slaves, you know, the blacks, and it's too early. At his time, there were no black people going to America. Okay, slave is somebody that has no rights. Slave is somebody that has to do the work and knows its place. For a bit of food and for sleeping, I do the work. That's why he's using the word. Servant is already one notch higher. Okay. Slave for all who want to slave. Yeah. And as you know, you already have given up your body. You already have said if they want to play with the body, if they want to do this, if they want to do that, let them do it. It's heavy. It's really heavy. I mean,
I think that it can be very inspiring for me, even though it's high up there, because when the verse that said, may use my body in any way, if it's benefit them or lead them to enlightenment. And the story you told us is very inspiring about the woman who was raped by 5 people who became her disciples.
yeah,
In this way, you can see an example when it can benefit them. So only then, when I have the wisdom to do it, to use it in the right way, then I can do it, and not now. It's inspiring.
Yeah.
Trusting that I can have such a mind.
exactly. To see, or for example, if you look Lama Zopa Rinpoche or Gachin Rinpoche is about to come, or the masters also. I mean, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he does nothing that is for his benefit. Nothing. It's only for the benefit of others. That's the only concern that he has. Okay? It's only there for others. Basically, the Dalai Lama also. I mean, if you look at him, he's what, 83 or 84? How old is he? And the way he travels around the world and he gives teachings and seminars and conferences and I don't know what. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. He doesn't say, oh, come on, I'm tired, I need a holiday. He doesn't have a boss, but he does it to be like a slave, to be of benefit. He has this mind of, hey, I want to serve. And because he has decided to do that, he is not burned out. If you look at them, they're constantly laughing, also Lama Zopa. You know, they find everything funny. It's so light, their energy is so light. Yeah. So this is, again, it's a training to go, I want to go there. If it's a benefit to them, let them use my body. If they want a slave, may I be a happy slave, because I decide to be a slave. Yeah? Okay? So then when we go with this whole thing about servant, we have to see, what does it mean, a servant? Servant also doesn't want any thanks. Servant does it because you decide, I want to serve. If you really have this mind, I want to serve, you can just about go anywhere and you're happy. If you want to be a servant with well paid, and being thanked and well treated, then you're very, very unhappy. So we had in Tushita, we had lots of volunteers also in Root Institute. So you have some, they come with good intentions, but really already knowing, I'll do this but not that, I'll do this but not that, I'll work until 5 o'clock but not longer than that. They were the most unhappy volunteers that we had. Yeah? And they were demanding and this and that, and you come, somebody has diarrhea, I need to go to the chai shop, get some yogurt. No, it's 5 o'clock, finished. So we had some volunteers like that. They, in the mind, yes, somehow they want to serve, but because it's not paid, they think they can choose what they want to do. Whereas if you're a servant, you're not choosing. You do whatever needs to be done. And then you become a happy volunteer. Then you're very happy when you say, wow, great, something more that needs to be done. Yeah, but if you're not, then better not, then train the mind further. There was a question there with the lady in the middle and the glasses.
You said, can you hear me?
Yeah.
You said earlier, for the body to become the slave of the mind, the servant of the mind.
Yeah.
And that usually our bodies, we are slaves to the body. If we have chronic disease,
That's not maintained. Then of course you need to look after the body. Or what?
how do I, as far as Buddhism, how do I make
The same.
sick
If your
body?
slave is chronically sick, what would you do with that slave?
Help him?
Yeah. Of course. So that he can do his work again. Of course. To do everything to make him feel healthy, not just so for him to do his work, but also so that he's well. This is what he, when we hear slave, we think, oh, abuse it and this and that. No, he means treat it well so he can do his job. That's what is being meant by that. Is that clear? Good, okay. So he's making all these wishes here. May I be a wishing jewel, a magic vase, powerful mantras and great medicine. May I become a wish-fulfilling tree and a cow of plenty for the world. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I always be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. So these are aspirations, attitudes. Yeah. So you can be totally turned off, then better you stop with this bodhicitta thing. Or you can say, wow, as Leora says, wow, there are, this is why now, there are beings who can do that. I want to become like them. Then your suffering is, even if you haven't realized emptiness, it's more or less. Like a big part of suffering, of ego-centeredness, I don't get what I want, and this and that, all the expectations, is finished. Yeah. And most of these teachings go in that direction. If you see Losang, the 8 verses, whenever I'm in the company of others, may I see myself as the lowest of all and hold others respectfully as supreme. If you're the lowest of all, you have no demands. You're happy. The more demands you have, the more special you think you are, the more complicated your life becomes, and you make other people's life complicated. Okay. And then he takes the Bodhisattva vows. Then he makes the step into Bodhicitta, which is 23 and 24. Just as the previous Sugatas gave birth to Bodhicitta, and just as they successively dwelt in the Bodhisattva's practice. So again, you see, he's not inventing something. He says, I'm going to do like they did. Because all the Buddhas, they were Bodhisattvas first. They all made these aspirations. This is how they became Buddhas. So I also want to become a Buddha, therefore I'm doing like them. Likewise, for the sake of all that lives, I give birth to Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successively follow these practices. Again, this training, the practices. And the rejoicing in Bodhicitta, in order to further increase it from now on, those with discernment who have lucidly seized Bodhicitta in this way should highly praise it in the following manner. So now the first is like developing it, and now he already goes into increasing it a bit. And then chapter 4 and 5 is how to not lose it. Because this is how we are also, very enthusiastic, woo, and then it calms down a little bit, then we lose it. So today my life has borne fruit, having well obtained this human existence. I've been born in the family of Buddhas, and from now on I am one of Buddha's children. Thus whatever actions I do from now must be in accord with the family. Never shall I disgrace or pollute this noble and unsullied race. So last course I had a question here, which says, I know a lot of bodhisattvas who definitely don't behave like bodhisattvas. This verse should go against that. I do not want to put a bad reputation on that family of Buddhists. So if you are a Buddhist, you have to be very careful. If you are anything, a Jew, a Christian, whatever, you have to be very careful, because you can turn people totally away from following these kind of methods by behaving totally the opposite. Yeah, so that's what it says here. That whatever action I do from now on must be in accord with the family. Never shall I disgrace or pollute this noble and unsullied race. Meaning, at least you try, at least you know how you should behave, and then go with conscientiousness, awareness, go in that direction. And allow people to correct you, which is not one of our biggest talents that we have, the Westerners. It's very difficult. This is my favorite verse, this 28. This one I really love. Just like a blind man discovering a jewel in a heap of rubbish, likewise, by some coincidence, Bodhicitta has been born within me. This kind of, wow! I think like an idiot like me, who was so only concerned about myself, not caring about any negative actions I did, all of a sudden I have interest in Bodhicitta. It's like a miracle. Talking about miracles. Yeah. Eh? This is a miracle. that somebody like me who's so self-concerned has interest in doing these things. I'm not saying I succeed, but I have interest. Just like, imagine a blind man, a heap of rubbish, finding a diamond. I mean, what's the chance?